Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our another session, sharing few views from Ayurvedic perspective on certain aspect. And today's topic we have taken up as food as medicine. Is it achievable? Is it really can be done? So, when question come around that, and the reason why this question comes up, because as I mentioned and shared many times, that everyone nowadays is very, very keen and becoming more aware than before about their well being. And whenever we talk about well being, nutrition subject always come as a part of discussion. In spite of various other ways of well being, people always feel nutrition can play in a huge role. And especially the time which is going presently has compelled all of us to sit and seriously give more consideration about our wellness. And in that respect, food, what we eat, is being considered by many of us in a way that, is it really helpful for me? And when I talk about food as medicine, this is not a new subject. Ages ago, this has been always in a consideration, even though in that times people's diet were more balanced and more better than what we have today. Even if we talk about the father of our modern medicine, Hippocrates, he has also made it very clear, and his line has been actually more popular than anything, that let's thy make our food as medicine. And taking leave from there, our present modern scientist has invented and tried to give us various kind of diets, whether you take it Atkinson's diet, high protein diet, low carb diet, or low sugar diet, and green leafy diet, or paleo diet, or so many diets are there. And when we look around that what these diets has given us, don't take me wrong that I am here to criticize these things. These are all good in their own ways, but question comes up. Let's review them. Let's talk about them. Now, even if we look at that, this high protein diet, which has been around with us for a long time, and it is still workable and people follow that. And especially in the weight management and other things. But does it has given us that people are not obese? And then in a diet where people always think that low fat diet will save me from heart attack and cholesterol, does that really given us any outcome? If we look at the stats, in fact, people who are eating more and more raw veggies or those kind of food, or no fat at all, their cholesterol is more higher than a normal person. And same is with these high protein diets or other aspects are there. So one wonder that where the gaps are. Gaps are simple. And that is where this science which we are talking today, Ayurvedic medicine, one of the oldest ancient system of medicine, has given very clear answer. Whether someone accept it or not accept it, that's a different ballgame. But the reality is what Ayurveda talk about, that your digestion, your food is not just related with that how much carb, how much protein, how much fat you are taking. But what is required is that how your food get metabolized in your system. And to that, one factor which I have taken last time is that food need to get metabolized, and that food is metabolized by our digestive file, which again, there is no question even from the Western medicines or other aspect that they also feel that yes, food need to be metabolized. But then food need to be metabolized is just because that I have eaten and it will get metabolized. That is not the case. We have to give a lot of consideration that how I can make that food, that meal which I have made and now I'm ready to eat, will be ultimately not just giving me nourishment or filling my tummy, but will act in such a way that it can eliminate the toxins from my system, keep my bodily tissues in a much more healthy state, and give me physical, mental, and emotional satisfaction. That is how food consideration as medicine can come up. So to achieve that goal, Ayurveda have given us a lot of consideration to think. And one of the major consideration is, as we all know, one size does not fit to everyone. There is a saying side of thing. I'm not into that kind of thing. So what that mean? That each individual has a unique body makeup. You cannot just think that this particular food eaten by 10 people in a room will give them same kind of a nourishment. And that's where the catch comes up. So what that means is, if we are not able to keep the consideration of what body makeup you are, and that body makeup is given to all of us at our birth time, then you have more chances to make your food at some stage poison. Poison not in the sense of cyanides or kind of thing. Poison means your body will start producing more toxins. Or in simple terms, we call it as an ama in our Ayurvedic Sanskrit language, or free radical substances from the Western medicine's perspective. But then question is, someone might ask, okay, hang on, you're telling me that I need to know my body type. So what you are saying is that those who don't know about their body type cannot really make their food as medicine? It's not the case. But one is hard way, one is easy way. So just taking one example. If we have two friends and one know about his body constitution and one does not know about his body constitution, and say they are both in the same age group, and they eat their food, one eating according to his or her liking, and the other one is eating according to his understanding of his body constitution. And just presume they both are Kapha dominant in their constitution. When I say Kapha, what is Kapha? Those who understand about Ayurveda, they know that there are three bodily intelligence which are governing our each function in our body, and they are also responsible to give us one or the other dominance of our prakriti or body makeup. And that constitution dominant people, when they are eating their breakfast, lunch, and dinner with this understanding, one is eating according to his liking, one is eating according to his body makeup. If you see these people after 6 or 7 years, you will find that one person, even at that stage when we started 5 years, 6 years ago, their body weight was reasonably same, body mass, muscles, tones, everything was all good. But in those 5, 6 years, the situation has started changing. The person who was eating according to his liking, he's already started becoming a bit more chubby. And if you ask him how he is keeping his health and well-being, he will say that it's all good, even though I'm having a bit of high cholesterol, but I'm taking my medicine and trying to keep it under control. I recently got a high blood pressure also, but I'm trying to keep it under control by taking medicine. So you can see what and which way the things are moving. And if you look at the other person, he still look in the same state of his body makeup and still fit, even though his body make constitution was also kapha. So that's the one consideration that you need to look at. If you can understand that what you are selecting, does it suits to your bodily makeup or not? Then comes the second consideration, which will be easy for us to talk about, is your seasonal consideration. When we talk about season, I'm sure every one of us, not for that you need the Ayurvedic understanding. There are 4 seasons if we talk about this part of our world. And in each season, there are different qualities which are dominant in that season. And again, from Ayurvedic perspective, one thing is very simple, even not from Ayurvedic perspective, we all know that we also have the same body constitutional qualities what prevailing in the season. So what that means is, if we are in a winter now, I'm just giving you another example of that. And if you see people around you, what they eat, without any consideration of season, they will be eating cold, damp, moist food. You go to these all the shopping malls and people will be having an ice cream in their hand or cold coffee or other smoothies, and all those kind of foods are always in a part of their day-to-day's liking. And what is that? That is what we call as incompatible to the season. So when we are eating without that consideration, or in that sort of scenario, how that food can become a medicine, no matter whether it is super organic ice cream or a super organic smoothie, it will never give you that. So that is another consideration. Then Ayurveda talk about is one is compatibility. Incompatible combination consideration has become such a big part of our present day's life that lead to the biggest problem. So when I say incompatible combination, when you are combining different food which might not be good for your digestive fire or confuse your digestive fire, what will happen? That food, even though your digestive fire might be in optimum state, but if I'm keep feeding the body with those kind of qualities, it will lead to. So simple example is, look at the breakfast option what we have normally. We have our cereals, and on cereals we put cold milk, and then we might put in a little bit of banana and yogurt kind of combination. That's a staple kind of breakfast which we always take. And nowadays smoothies has come up. In smoothies you have yogurt, you have milk, you have protein, and you have your fruit and frozen fruit and kind of things, and that's what you go into the bullet or something like that kind of thing. So that's what majority of us are having nowadays. So that's just one simple example of incompatibility. And then the other consideration, what again becomes a little bit difficult, but it's not that difficult if person is eating with a lot of awareness, is what is your state of Agni. Agni means that you are digestive fire. You can intuitively actually feel that how my appetite actually is if you are a little bit connected to your body. If you are off the track and trying to eat just for the sake of eating, it becomes difficult. But if you are aware, you can see whether I'm really hungry or not. If I'm not hungry, if I still want to eat something, I will make a choice that I just go for a light meal or something small amount. But if I'm not making and not connecting to my bodily intelligence, I will just take my normal lunch or dinner or whatever I have and eat it. And what that will do, that will impact on my digestive fire. This is how the problem will start. When you are letting your bodily Agni to work extra, one stage it will come up, it will start giving up. Giving up means it will not digest your food properly and will then produce more toxins, more ama, and less nutrient. And that will not nourish your existing tissue, and that's where the downfall starts. What downfall means? Your immune system will start getting compromised. And when the immune system starts getting compromised, things start getting into more and more trouble. Anything surroundings will start affecting us more badly, and we are then prone to one or the other ailments. So that's another consideration comes up. Then Ayurveda talk about the biggest part of how to make food as medicine is various way of eating our food, which nowadays has become a sort of so guaranteed thing that we can't even think of. If someone is not doing that way, you can't imagine that why they are not doing that. What are the few things? I will just share with you one. Now just look at, in Ayurvedic nutrition aspect, one thing we always talk about, and then people, even our own student, they will always frown and they always think, oh my goodness, this is just something, a cultural thing or kind of thing. When I say that you should first of all wash your hand before you start taking your meal. Reason is, if you look at, you might be working on the desk, or you might be touching different books or files or something, or even laptop and kind of thing, or you might have shaked hand. So much things are around, so you should watch. Underlying factor is that there are so many bacteria and viruses around us, and once you start taking your burgers or other kind of things, or 6-inch loaf you have taken with the wonderful veggies, it means you are taking certain extra stuff inside. But not many people think of. But look at, nature has its own way to teach us. Nowadays, what has happened due to this COVID-19? Everyone want to wash their hand millions time in a day if they can. And then they have those sanitation aspects to talk about and do that. What actually is, why we are doing that? Because we feel that bacteria can go or virus can go in through our hand. If today we can think that way, why not in our normal life? That is where the one aspect to share with you, that how we forget simple things and make our life more difficult. One need to remember one thing, which again, our Western medicine is start accepting it very, very big. We are born with 25,000 genes, right, which determine our RNA and DNA factor. But on top of that, there are more than 2 million genes in our gut, which are responsible for the healthy state of each human being at every level. Reason is, what we do is we abuse our gut to the maximum. And when we abuse our gut to the maximum by feeding the body with a lot of incompatible food, wrong choices, and wrong way of eating, it becomes very difficult how we can keep our food into a state of medicine. And it will actually, rather than becoming a food as medicine, start becoming more and more into a disease giving 3 meals a day sort of scenario. On other note, if you look at considerations, we always talk about you focus on your food. Why focus on your food? Reason is very simple, because when you are eating, you are passing in a message to your brain to get your stomach ready, to get your small intestines ready. But look at what we do nowadays. We have a specific kind of fashion that when we sit on dining table, either the TV will be on or our computer games will be on and something, or my laptop is on and I just still trying to check emails, or consideration or discussions might be happening on the table, on my dining table. So what that means distraction. And when the distraction comes up, it is in a stop and start scenario of in relation to your eating part. And when that stop and start aspect is happening, you can do stop and start because it is your intellect, you are controlling it, but your bodily intelligence, stop and start does not work. Once it starts, it has kicked in the digestion process, it will keep doing the cooking. It's not going to wait that because you have stopped, I should now stop the secretion of those enzymes, secretion of that hydrochloric acid, and wait for next grass to come. If it is nothing there, it is going to cook us. Cook us means cook our lining of our stomach and gut and lead to so many of our other ailments to us. So that's the simple consideration. Then in Ayurveda, we always talk about don't eat and drink. What that means is you finish your meal. If you want to drink some water, then wait for 10-15 minutes, then drink. Or otherwise, if you are eating, you can just sip 1 or 2 sip warm water during that time, or otherwise you will be. But look at nowadays, not even water. No one drink the water anyway. You always will see when you are having a dinner, always there will be either organic juice bottles, if some people are more aware, or there will be a different kind of these carbonated drinks. I should not name it, but those all carbonated drinks, whatever you are drinking will be there. Or sometime there will be some more super aware people that they will go into having a more carbonated water. So what these things does, when you are having that liquid or fluid along when you are eating, it is keep diluting your hydrochloric acid and enzyme, what from Ayurvedic perspective we call as your digestive fire. And when your digestive fire is diluted, what will happen? No matter how balanced food you have eaten, it will not metabolize. And when it does not metabolize, what it is going to give you? Nutrient? From where that will happen? It will produce more toxins. And that will be the first level of the toxin, and they will keep multiplying and lead to more and more complications. So that's the where your simple considerations comes up. And then look at another habit, which is in a part and parcel of our life. We eat on run kind of thing, which is obvious. If you go and see sometime at lunchtime, just if you have few offices in a complex kind of thing and around there is in a park, you will see a lot of people have their lunch in their hand and keep eating and then keep talking on the phone and keep moving, and then they are eating as a kind of someone is after them to snatch their food. So again, what that do is that hamper your digestive process. Because when you are eating quickly, what happens when you are just gulping around, not letting the food to get moist? That's the first stage of your digestion get affected. Then your stomach is not getting ready. Ready means not sufficient secretions are coming in your gut and can lead to more and more complications. So when that food will be going there in the stomach, will not get metabolized, and someone might think, hang on, what is the big deal? Enzymes can get released and food can get digested there. That's not the way it works. So food will sit in your stomach only for a certain time. It has to pass on to the second stage. Yeah. And then when the second stage happen in the small intestine, then that food, because it's not an already right amount of digestion has happened in the first stage, will not be able to get digested by those enzymes and will lead to further complications of producing more toxins and less nutrients. That is where these simple considerations can make our food as poison or food as a medicine. So it is not that it is not achievable. Making food as medicine is very easily achievable, just enhancing our awareness that what we need to give the consideration. Selection of the food, yes, you must select right kind of good quality food, but then you need to give consideration how I prepare that food, how I eat that food, and then the environment surroundings around you when you are selecting and eating that food will play in a big role. So considerations are essential. Food always can become medicine when you give right ingredient to that. I'm not talking about the turmeric and ginger and other things to make your food, because I'm not here to give you that aspect of how you can make the food as medicine, but I'm just giving you very simple lifestyle related factor, which are common sense related factor, and has been taken away from us in our present day's life and has made us more vulnerable. That even though you might have a very good dish in front of you, but our habits, our ways of eating that food can lead to more and more into trouble. And on top of that, if we go a little bit more further, there are certain principles in Ayurveda. We talk about that how you prepare your dish. So that is where comes up the consideration of a preparation. So for example, you are preparing your breakfast now in the morning, and most of us, if we are eating, say, porridge and trying to eat even oat and other kind of things, or even buckwheat flour we want to make a porridge with, or some other thing, what we do is we will soak them overnight in water, and in the morning we just will either add more yogurt on that and some nuts and seeds and eat that porridge. Or if some of us might be a little bit more traditional and trying to cook in a more different way, they might have the porridge, this oat, and cook with the water and milk, and then have that porridge. And what happened with them, just observe those people when they have taken their breakfast around about 10, 9:30 or 11, they will start feeling already sluggish, a bit heavy, no energy, and then they start looking for a cup of coffee or some smoke just to give them a kick. And reason why is that? Because your grains are heavy, and when you have mixed them with now water or yogurt or cold milk, it makes them more heavier. More heavier means more gluey and difficult to break down in your gut. So instead of that, if you able to cook them means cook them with any oil. You want to use coconut oil, that's fine. Olive oil you want to use, that's fine. But otherwise, if you are able to know what ghee is very, very good. But for many of us, it is a poison. So won't go into that on a simple kind of discussion. But when you toast your grain with an oil, it makes them more lighter. And then you add warm water and then you use milk. And if you are going to make it more specific now so that it really give you as food as medicine, you can use 2 spices in the breakfast always, irrespective of each season. If you can use a quarter to half teaspoon of cinnamon and cardamom in your breakfast option. Reason why these spices? Because these spices are very specific to enhance your lymphatic system, because in this first part of the day, lymphatic system is what dominate because of the season, consideration of the time of the day. That time of the day we call it as a cold and a bit moist, which directly relate with the lymphatic system, which is in our cold and moist tissue in our body. So to make it more compatible, those 2 spices help to activate it. That's just simple consideration to talk about. And if in the same way, if someone feel that whatever good dish I am eating, it's always given a bit of heaviness and a bit of gurgling or indigestion at the end. On a simple note, whatever dish you are eating, whether it's your chicken, fish, or veggies, or other thing, or lentils, legumes, bean, if you can squeeze fresh lemon, fresh coriander, and quarter to half teaspoon Himalayan salt. If someone know about black salt, that's best, but many of us sometimes don't know. So Himalayan salt, which is again pink salt, or many of us call it, that will help. What is the purpose of doing that? That help in the assimilation and absorption of your nutrient. And normally, one thing which we always forget in our whole consideration, that salt, I'm talking about now taste. Salt is one of the 6 tastes which is very, very responsible to break down the food. That is why many people, when they eat their food and lack salt, sufficient amount of salt in their cooking or on top of their dish, they are the one who always will have more gut issues than anyone else. Because in the gut, you need moistness to do the digestion process. So this salt has the natural ability to change the permeability of the gut and bring more water, moistness to help to do the digestion. And that's where another consideration of Ayurveda comes up, that there should be an optimum amount of oiliness in your food, whatever you are eating. So those people who think that eating a low-fat diet or just the raw diet will be giving me more healthy state, they can just sit and look back that does it really has helped me? Because we don't need to always go with the stats or some researches or some studies. We should use our body as a living lab and check whatever I am eating. If whatever I am eating is healthy, is optimum, it should give me optimum health anyway. But if it is not, then there are some gaps. And those gaps, how I can fill, that is where you need to look at towards the Ayurvedic approach of nutrition, Ayurvedic approach of well-being, which can give you in a very clear answer to every question what you might have. Whether it relate with that, whether I can drink 3 liters of water and get healthy, whether I can just eat green veggies and still be healthy or not. Answer are always there with an Ayurvedic practitioner when you follow them, and they will teach you how to make your food as medicine. It is very much possible, very easy to achieve. It's just a matter of us to trust those sciences which has been around and giving mankind that value of not just making how to make your 6 app, but how you can make yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally in a more balanced state. So that's for today. And if any one of you will have any questions related with these, you can send us and we will be happy to answer that. And otherwise, thanks everyone for joining, those who have taken their time to be with us.